Good morning, M1, and welcome to the Rise with Rock. As you come on, as usual, I like to offer and remind you to have a moment of gratitude, something that you appreciate, something in your life that you want to take a moment and feel the feelings of gratitude as you come on to this amazing morning ritual that we have on Wednesdays called the Rise with Rock. And the idea behind the Rise with Rock is for you to reconnect with your mission, your vision, your purpose by connecting with your fellow tribes members. So have a chance to interact with them. Good morning, David and Melissa and Jason, Jamie and Rebecca. Darren, good morning. So shout out to your friends. Check if people on your pod are here on the call. Good morning, Steph and Claudia and Dan. Give somebody a nudge. Remember the concept of support, encourage, and challenge. Good morning, Britt. Are you supporting, are you encouraging, and are you challenging a fellow tribes member to raise the lid on what they're capable of reaching for in their life? That's partially what the Rise with Rock is about. A moment for me to check in with you and to share with you a concept, a thought that I have, but also for you to check in with your fellow tribes people. Have that moment of gratitude. We get to do this thing called life. We get to do this journey called personal development, self-reflection, self-awareness, and drive ourselves further to grab life big and to feel a life that we're living that is fulfilled versus just going through the motions like so many people. Unfortunately, about 77% of people live paycheck to paycheck, and 80% of people don't like their job. And they spend the rest of the time trying to have a good time, entertain themselves, fulfill themselves. So they spend the little money they make on entertaining themselves, and they stay in a trap of not being able to go forward. And M1 is about breaking that cycle. Good morning, Edna, Steph Wu, Carolyn. Good morning, Lisa and Aaron and Jim and Roman and Sven and Carlos and Jesse and Kim and Bill and Brad and Chun, Aaron, Brad Moore, good morning. Rebecca, here swimming with Mark Crandall and Aaron Velke, grateful. Look at you guys. Morning all, what's up? Aaron. So think about how much your life has changed since you maybe have joined M1. What are some of the new voices in your head? I want to talk about that today. But first, let's go backwards a little bit. Where do the voices come from that are in your head? Do you make them up? And one of my mentors says, don't believe a thought you think. It's all made up anyway. You're making up what you're thinking, feeling, based on deposits that have been made in your head from the people before you. So I wrote out a couple of little notes here, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about where do you think about money? So recently I had a RRSP, which is your version in the United States of a 401k, come to mature. It was 10 years old. I called my advisor. It was at 4.9% for 10 years, and it matured. And I started to look at my board of directors when it comes to money. And I've got Mark Yegi and David Osborne. I've got a guy named Norm that some of you might meet in Montreal, who's a savant. He's got like $20 million in investments in the stock market and in self-directed vehicles. And then behind that, I have the voices that I've studied on paper. Warren Buffett, Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki, T. Harv Eker. So as I go to make a decision regarding my finances, these are the voices that I access. I think, what would Warren Buffett do? What does Tony Robbins do? Or Kiyosaki, or Norm, or Yegi, or Osborne? And in cases where I'm uncertain, I start to make a call. Now, normally I would put the money with Mark Yegi in the stock market, but I'm not able to at this point in time take an RRSP or a retirement fund and put it into the United States in a hedge fund designed that way. So I call up my buddy Norm, and he's like, Rock, with the $250,000 you have to invest, it's not worth it for you to put it in a self-directed vehicle where you're going to have to monitor it. He goes, I got a buddy of mine that has 5 million of my money, and he averages 20% over the last 10 years. And I'm like, well, that sounds great to me. That's a number that I'm happy with. So I call up his guy, and sure enough, I've transferred my money over to this gentleman. Now, will he make 20% next year? I don't know. We'll see. But it's a small fund, and Norm sent me a long email with the reasons why he went for this fund. It's less than $1 billion. It's more than 100 million. They're a small family-driven firm. They have all their money in the fund itself. And I started to listen to his voice, and I made a decision based on that. Does that make sense? When you go to make a decision, you want to be able to know that the people that are depositing voices in your mind are people that have great and outstanding results in that arena. So my question to you is, when you're making decisions around money, whose voice are you listening to? How many deposits have you consciously made to be more aware in that area? And that's really the very foundation of you making progress. Good morning, Krista. Good morning, Carolyn, Dory. If you're struggling, let's say, to open up a business, and you lack the confidence to do that, it's because the voices in your head don't have references around that. Does that make sense? So Keith Cunningham, who's a guy who comes out and speaks at Tony Robbins very often, is a master with business. If you listen to his voice, if you have his experience, you draw on his references, then the decision to open a business can be well grounded and founded. So I want to entice you to make those deposits into your mind around money. We talk a lot about money here. One of my mentors is T. Harv Eker, and Lindsay went recently to his event, MMI, Millionaire Mind Intensive, that I used to teach. And a lot of the teachings are based on that. And she went there and she's like, oh, it's so great. It made me so conscious. So when you drink from the well of these people, then you start to get the information. But hear the voices of M1 that you guys can share with each other in your pods, when you're talking, is, are you doing your budget? What's the savings you made on it? How's your one sheet? Is it up to date? Are you being conscious and being creative when it comes to investments? Who are you speaking to? When you're doing investments in real estate, dig into the tribe and ask them for reflections before. The biggest mistake I think that people make with investments is they try to figure it out on their own. Yeah, you need to start properly using your 6 bank accounts, Aaron. Thank you for your transparency there. So often we have these concepts, we feel better because we take some action, we take an awareness around it, but we don't complete, we don't finish, we don't use it to its full degree. So I'm enticing you and encouraging you to listen to those voices and then to take action on it. Have your tribe hold you accountable, okay? Now, let's talk a little bit about health. I'm going to give you some references here. So for health, for me, I have David Wolfe, Louise Hay, Tony Robbins, Andy O, and I have different people that advise me, like a posturologist, Matt Boulay, who came out and spoke at our last Infinity event for the ELC. I have a chiropractor. I have an osteopath. Obviously, I have a doctor. Every year, pretty much, I go to Thailand and I do a full physical for $700 US. I'm in the hospital for 4.5 hours. I see 38 different people, and I do every single test basically you can do in your body in that period of time. It's basically, it's like a medical vacation. And I get lots of feedback and information that I can then go to my various specialists with and make sure that I'm on track. My father died of colon cancer when he's 62. I have to have a colonoscopy every 3 to 4 years. Make sure that my little asshole is doing okay. So these are steps that I put in place. But David Wolfe is a raw foodist, and he gave me an extreme experience that I could live on raw food only. And you know, there's a lot of people that don't know that you can do that. But I have that voice in my mind when I make selections around organic food and go shopping. Louise Hay helped me understand that affirmations and incantations can help heal your body. She has a book, I believe, called Heal Your Body. And she had cervical cancer, and she was due to have an operation. And she, through affirmations, she was abused as a child. She felt that that part of her body was dirty. And she then helped create disease in her own body, and she helped to cure it through proper affirmations and self-love. I had an operation on my thyroid gland when I was, in 1997. And they told me I would have to take Synthroid for the rest of my life, which is a little purple pill to regulate my thyroid. And I chose at that time, and I don't recommend this for everybody. I'm not a doctor making recommendations. This is a choice I made for myself, was to do incantations and affirmations to my body to tell it to regulate itself without the medication. And happily 20 years later, I get it tested every year and everything's perfect. That voice came from Louise Hay. That opportunity came from Louise Hay. That new behavior came from Louise Hay. When I think about health, I think about the energy that Tony Robbins has and some of the choices he makes, that when I'm tired, I'm not really tired, I'm just maybe bored, or I didn't eat properly, or I'm dehydrated, and I have that voice that's available to me. When I did a cleanse last summer with Andy, I loved it so much because this person was passionate about intermittent fasting. And I'm not talking about the ones that's the craze today where people are going around. And good morning, Roman. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Marcus. A shout out to Marcus for his 30 days to purchase yourself or get yourself a tax lien, pouring tremendous value into the tribe. Thank you, brother. We appreciate you and love you. I learned that intermittent fasting is actually something that is good for your body. Think about back when people went through the winters of life and they didn't have enough food to get through. Our bodies are used to actually going, and it's a break for our body to have a fast. Highly recommend it. I went on a 7-day fast. Then I did the 10-day Tony Robbins challenge. And then I did another fast to join a bunch of people in the tribe. And I went from 184 down to 169 and back up to my new spot, which seems to be 175. Cleaned out some toxins, cleaned out some waste, and this feels like a good spot. That's a voice that came from Andy O, who's absolutely passionate about cleanses. And we may even do one as a tribe coming this spring, which, well, it's kind of summer already, late spring maybe, we'll see. But these are all the voices in my head when I make decisions around health. Who are the voices in your head? Who are the new deposits that you're putting in there? Are you going to different events like, a meditation or a fasting or something that can give you a new voice that you can draw on? Let's do a cleanse, says Britt. And of course, you have voices of the people around you, the people that you live with, the advertisers in the world trying to capture and hijack your mind and tell you that you need to eat this and eat that. So you have to counteract that with voices of people who are passionate about the best and the most efficient way of living. Mostly what I eat is salad, fish, and chicken. Now, I'm not saying that that's the best thing, but those are the voices that work best for me, knowing my body and seeing how it responds for me to have optimal performance and to stay fit and energetic. All right, one more, and then we'll get to some questions or comments. And remember that the Rise with Rock is also an opportunity for you, if you have a little place you're stuck, to ask a question of the tribe or of myself. Well, we're beautiful 60 souls here this morning, sharing and caring with each other. And Aaron, I'm in on the cleanse. Cool. All right, let me see what I can set up with my mentor, Andy, who I really adore. And I know Chris Crawford did it, and Luann did it with me, and a couple other people. It was really a lot of fun. Alexandra did it. It's not the easiest thing, but in life, if you do what is easy, life will be hard. If you do what is hard or difficult, life will be easy. There's a huge benefit to doing the things that are challenging. Good morning, Tara. Excited to be here as part of Unit 18. Oh, we got some Unit 18s in the house already. Whoa! How exciting. You are in for a treat. Juicing, tons of water, massive action. Beautiful. All right. Let me talk also about what else? The Montreal event is sold out. Sorry to say the Montreal event is sold out. So congratulations, we've overflowed. We've got some staff that are going to be staying at another hotel. So congratulations to all of you that made a decision. That's amazing. It's being confirmed. It looks like I'm going to the Tony Robbins event in mid-July. That is July, I think, 13th or 14th to 15th, 12th to 15th. So for those of you that are going to be there, that's awesome. If you're looking for some group discounts, you can contact Marshonda at TonyRobbins.com. Marshonda at TonyRobbins.com. If somebody can pop that up there, Marshonda at TonyRobbins.com. That's my contact. The more of us that go through her, she's able to upgrade us for free. Oh yeah, Nick, you gonna come and do my fire lane? Bam! Oh my God, we are gonna have the rockinest fire lane. Sal's gonna be there. Bam, bam, bam. Marshonda at TonyRobbins.com. Hey guys, whoever wants to come down, there you go. Come on down. We're going to have a blast. It's a great way to connect, and it's a super, super event. That's right, Marshonda at TonyRobbins.com. Tell her that you were sent by me, and we group the tickets together, and then we get some free upgrades if we have enough. So rock it out there. I mentioned this before. I think we have our 31st millionaire. We're starting to publicize and promote our millionaires. And we're going to be starting a podcast called March to a Million, where we interview people on their story and their journey to becoming a millionaire, a whole life millionaire, which is really exciting. All right, just a couple of announcements there. And then I want to make one more statement. And I just want to remind you, I love you guys. I freaking love you guys. I love the fact that I get to do this with you guys, share our lives, grow together, challenge each other, support each other, acknowledge each other as we go through this wonderful journey called life. Now, we have a saying that, Rocky, planning to be in UPW New York City in November. I'm not planning on it, but they usually invite me to that one. So there's a good chance I'll be there. I'm planning to come to UPW as well. Okay, yes, awesome. You get to meet a bunch of people. Cool. Guys, we have 65 people on the Rise with Rock this morning. I tip my hat to you for showing up. You could be anywhere right now. It's easy to do other things. It's easy to, thank you guys. Thank you, John, Chun, Nikki, Melissa. I love the idea of the podcast. Can't wait for it to start. Yes. Come rock, New York. By the way, shout out to Lindsay, who has referred 3 or 4 badasses to the tribe recently that I've had a chance to meet and talk to. Lindsay, you're just a sweetheart. You're a doll. We love you and your husband. We love what you represent. We love how you show up. We love how you guys love growing. But most of all, we love your hearts. You guys are so generous, and you want to help so many people. It just touches my soul. It really, really does. Carlos, we'll wait until DWD. Have fun in Chicago. Cool. All right. The last point I wanted to make on this with this particular little conversation about, who are you listening to? What are the voices in your head? Is on relationships. So I'll give you my background. One of the greatest books I read was Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendrix. And there's some exercises in there that most people won't do. But the reality is that when you do them, you have some transformation in how you see and interrelate with other people. David Deida, The Way of the Superior Man. I got to spend 2 days with David Deida on a boat in Italy with Tony Robbins when I was a platinum partner, and dramatically impacted my life when it comes to masculine and feminine energy. We have them both. If you are not clear on what that means, if you don't know the differences, then get David Deida's book, The Way of the Superior Man. If you are, if you have a tendency to be more masculine or feminine, one or the other, this is a great way. There's a little quiz in there. And by the way, masculine energy hates to be directed and corrected. If you are a woman that tends to, you have a job, you go after things, and you tend to be in your masculine, making decisions, you're pushing forward, you have a direction, you're focused, which tends to be masculine energy, and you use that energy to direct and correct your man, you are going to disempower and emasculate your man. They say that behind every successful man is a strong woman, and what I believe is that is a loving, supportive, nurturing woman. Us men are we're very fragile, and we try to act macho and tough, but we're actually not. And when we have a safe place to land, when we get beaten up at our job, when we go hunting out there. And I just purchased that book last week, Totally Just Sabotaged a Great Relationship. Wow, Nikki, something learned a lot. Wow, that's amazing that you can admit that. God bless you. So this demasculating the man happens a lot because women are forced to step into their male, masculine, to work, to get the kids ready, to make shit happen. And feminine energy is unpredictable, and it moves, and it's like a storm, and it's crazy, and then it's loving, and then it's full, and then it's, there's all these elements to it that are beautiful and gorgeous and that hypnotize us men. But at the same time, masculine energy wants to be acknowledged. The best thing as a woman can do for a man, or one of the best things in my opinion, is to acknowledge him, is to remind him that he's a badass and he will die for you. He will go back out there and die for you. But you criticize him and complain and correct him, and he wants to just go and hide. That's how fragile we are. At least that's my opinion. A couple of more great books. Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. It's a little bit outdated now, but some of the fundamental things are pretty good in there. Radical Men, which is really great for men and how to treat a relationship. Shirley Smith has some great books. Just Google Shirley Smith on relationships and the 6 different archetypes that you grow up with in a family that continue on into your life. So these are the voices in my head. I also use references from Landmark. And then I have some of my mentors like Wally Yellowberry that was on Monday Night Live. Love this guy, incredible family values, incredibly consistent with his family. And Rick Graves, great guy, and M1, an alumni. Love the way he treats his family. And Mark Schwag is a guy who's jumped on. These are people that voices in my head when I think of relationship. How do I want to show up? How do I want to treat people? How do I want to treat my mother, my kids, my intimate relationship? So you got to draw it from somewhere. You might as well make good deposits consciously. And for me, I'm a little bit, old-fashioned. I believe that women need to be honored and treated. I like to open the door for a woman. I like to treat a woman in a way where she can be more feminine. So for the men out there, what are you doing in order to be a gentleman, to honor your woman, to treat her in the way that makes sense to you? I don't like to use the words like goddess and prince and princess and queen and all that. That may be words that work for you, and many of them work for me. But choose the word that works for you, and then find a way, a voice that you're going to decide that is the way that you choose to respond to your woman versus react. And some things that you can do that are going to raise the experience between the two of you. This is such a precious life that we have. And the person that you're living with deserves to be treated at the highest possible level. Not to receive all the shit when you've had a tough day. There's moments for that too. But what about treating them and deciding that you're going to have that experience at the highest possible level? And honor that woman. And women love to be, noticed and seen. So see the women in your life, appreciate them, and hunger for them. A woman wants to be wanted. So, you can develop that hunger. Even if she nudges you away or pushes you away, you can still, be present to her. And that's probably the biggest thing, is to be present in her storm, whatever beautiful way that shows up. So I really wanted to just share with you this thought of what voices are you drawing on, right? Seek to make more deposits of intelligent voices. Get books that make sense. Talk to each other in ways where you say, so how are you treating your relationship? What are some of the best things you do in your relationship? What are some of the best choices you're making around your health and vitality? What are some of the people that you're listening to in the areas of money? And continue to raise the conversation. You know, you have your broke uncle down the street, you have your people around you that are not good investors, that are terrible with their body, that want you to put something in your body, whether it's alcohol or a bag of chips or whatever, that is not the highest vibration for you. And you know it, but you're allowing yourself to listen to those voices. So today's Rise with Rock is about you consciously choosing to add more voices, to drown out the mediocre and weak voices in your mind that were deposited there perhaps decades ago, and to raise it up through the conscious choice of reading and adding new dynamic friends. Wally, for instance, from Monday has offered to meet with anybody, talk to people. How awesome is that? And for you to count this multimillionaire as a new friend, as a reference to maybe learn. Wally taught me something called the 3 deep questions. When you ask somebody, so how are you doing? And they say, pretty good. And you say, well, pretty good in what? Well, I'm pretty good, with my job. And well, tell me specifically, what are you excited about with your job? He always takes 3 questions deep because the surface question is usually just bullshit. And then he drives in deep. When you're with Wally, you have a rich conversation because he chooses to live his life that way. So this is another voice I have in my head because I hang out with this person. This is a person who has studied on how to become a better golfer and then takes that experience and translates it into his business. What voices are you choosing to consciously deposit into your mind that you can then withdraw, right? Withdraw them later. So whether your relationship, your health, or your wealth, who are you listening to? And then the last thing I'll put in there, if I have a little bit more time here, which I have just a couple of minutes, is who are you listening to for fun? Who are you working out with? In the last year, I've had over 12 tennis teachers. As I travel, I get a tennis teacher all over the world. I stayed at Paul Morris's house, who was on a Monday Night Live, and he is a ping pong coach because he wants to do well. I got a surfing coach this year. I have drumming mentors, Phil and Chris and Logan. I swam with Russian athletes this year, and Ian Lobas, who spent 7 years with Phelps. Swimming with Phelps has given me swimming instruction on ultimate frisbee from teachers in Bali. And from people, a friend of Ned's that does biking when I bought my bike here in California, to get some advice from him. I just realized I'm constantly not depending on my own voice, but listening to the voices and seeking out the voices with massive experience. And guess what? Those people feel great when you ask them for their wisdom. They've spent years studying a particular arena or area of their life, and then now they get to share it with you. Seek out other people's wisdom. Share your wisdom with other people. And continue to upgrade the voices in your head and watch the experience of your life get better and better. Better investments, better relationships, more love, more presence for your spouse, less criticizing and complaining. And of course, better energy as you make better decisions with your health. So I want to thank you for spending this morning with me, this Rise with Rock. I'm trying to read things and wrap this up at the same time. So we are at the bottom of the hour. Some of you are off to your pod meetings and to your life. Make it an amazing day. Grab life big. Continue to up-level the voices in your mind through reading and other people. And I will see many of you in Montreal, many of you on the next Rise with Rock. And for those of you that have just joined this journey called M1, please welcome our new M1 members that are starting in a week. God bless you. Thank you for joining us in this amazing journey. And we love you guys. And a shout out to Jeff Wagner, our most recent millionaire, who we're going to get on an interview on a podcast. Love you guys. Have a great day.